This is going to be important, I think, because like we said before, there has been a bit of a balance patch adjusting some things in the game accordingly, as we've seen multiple times up until this point. But as with every balance patch comes dramatically new, different choices for champions. But at the moment, looking like we're sticking with... I mean, this is something we saw a lot at Denver, right? You're still seeing the Nyx, you're still seeing the Anarchy, but it really is the rise of Doomslayer, I think, that is really proving to be the new talking point, because he was already seeing some gameplay before, but the Berserk was quite hard to hit those punches in a lot of those clutch situations. It was used for mobility and getting away, especially in like Sacrifice. He was super good, but now he's had those fixes along with the other top tiers of the game sort of being toned down a little bit. Do you think those things in combination has made him as popular as he is now?
Definitely. I think it's his mobility is really useful. Rockets being particularly prominent in this game now, because obviously the LG nerf that applied, where the LG just needs to be approached a little bit differently. We saw at Denver some players were kind of like struggling to... Because they didn't have a lot of time, right? In a very short space of time, some of these players, it took them a little while to get more used to how the LG works post-patch. But I think, watching the games today, I feel like players they've sort of worked around how the LG works now, so players are looking a lot more comfortable automatically. But I mean, with rockets being as prominent as they are, it allows Doomslayer to be a little bit of a thorn in your side. He's constantly able to stay in the air a little bit longer. At any point, he could pop that. But here we go. This is going to be our winners bracket action. Winner of this series will move on into DreamHack Winter.
All that work up till this point will be almost done for one of these guys, but this is round one. We have plenty of Quake left to go. Still, though, starting off with the Anarchy. Pikawa on that Ranger. Ranger, I really think, has been one of those incredibly high skill cap champions that the later the game goes on, the more impressive this champion seems. Well, especially in the hands of someone that really knows how to use the dire orb.
Oh, we did see some disgusting Ranger play from Dewey over at Denver, so I think it's no wonder we're seeing players sort of start to use this champion a little bit more. Pikawa had some really impressive dire orbs against Garpy as well on Corrupted Keep. Let's see if he can keep it up. Spart1e's done a good job so far. Gone for quite a classic start, and that was a fantastic rocket. Nice job of sort of basically undoing all of that heavy armor that Pikawa was just able
especially
to
that early 100, right? That is not a short amount of damage to get, especially against someone like Ranger who's looking to stack up early. Oh, hang on a minute, just we can talk about damage. That one rail is going to do a lot to Spart1e, take all that armor away, and now he has no choice to try and get some back. Can't be left without any armor as Anarchy, especially if you're against someone that is going to hit those rails. You see Pikawa trying oh no, actually was able to get hold of the Mega Health, was just trying to safely get away. Heavy armor is up for grabs, though. Looks like that's where Spart1e's going, but Pikawa beats him to the punch, and now Pikawa has control over both of them. This is not a good situation for Spart1e to fight into.
Yeah, I think fighting for that heavy armor can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially if you're someone like Anarchy. Yes, you can be going fast, but at the end of the day, one direct will put you in a really terrible situation. If your opponent is in control of that Mega and Heavy together, and they have so much more stack than you do, they're a little bit more, I think, prone to take that fight towards Heavy. But Spart1e catching some downtime in between the rails.
It's quite a dangerous exchange there. Looks like both getting caught with that point-blank rocket, but a bit too dangerous. That LG damage coming through, but a big damage. Pikawa a little bit faster on the draw to the rail. They both had the exact same thing in mind. They both swapped to the rail. They both were one rail away from getting the frag, but Pikawa is just that millisecond faster.
I think Spart1e must have just been really confident in his rockets down there. I was actually surprised he only had about 60 HP. I was surprised to see him actually take that fight and not try and back off, but...
Maybe if though Spart1e taking this fight with the nail gun, even though that's all he's got so far, but has able to pick up the rocket launcher anyway, just to try and increase the arsenal a little bit. But after all that, Spart1e still coming off a little bit lower health. Almost no armor at all to look at. Pikawa just picks up the heavy. He's going to look for this fight. Spart1e has no choice but to run away, using that Berserk to get the speed, but Pikawa is hot on the trail. No, he's decided to go away.
Pikawa probably predicted maybe he was going to go towards Heavy. Oh no, fumbles the double jump. Actually may pay with his life for that one.
I mean, that's 100 damage direct. That's actually not a bad way of recovering. Spart1e is making this work, even though he was massively down on life. But again, Pikawa 2 for 2. Just those instant swaps to rails. 2 times Pikawa has managed to escape seemingly certain death. Ooh. Cheeky stuff. Pikawa now very low on life, and Spart1e doesn't really have the weaponry to follow this up, unfortunately, even though Pikawa is so close to death, and Nail Gun is not the weapon you want in hand to chase someone that you know is fully stacked with all the weapons they could ever need.
Yeah, I feel like Pikawa's had really good aim in this round, like superb aim. It's been keeping him in this fight. The second you saw Spart1e sort of mess up that double jump, didn't quite get up to the stairs, actually in this exact same location. You were worried he wasn't going to survive for very long, and Pikawa able to punish him accordingly, really.
Pikawa's going to see that damage number. He will have an understanding that at least he got a little bit of damage on Spart1e, but able to get hold of the heavy armor. That's going to be huge. Of course, when you're down this much of a champion deficit 2-1, you kind of need all the health and armor you can get.
And as always, the clock's going to become a little bit of a problem here. I think Pikawa, because the Dire Orb has such a short cooldown, that 20-second cooldown, I actually believe he may have missed his double jump there. Looks like maybe somewhat of a frustration flick, but we're pretty much almost near the 1 minute warning. When you're 2 champions down, Pikawa's going to pretty much use that Dire Orb to create space. He can run away. And even then, he's got Nyx. So the whole classic of delaying your respawn. Yes, indeed. I mean, he has a lot of options now, but that's the reward he has for getting such an early lead in the round. He gets to just control how the rest of it is played, but unfortunate miss. But Pikawa trying to get away. Spart1e on the trail, trying to use that double jump to get over the wall, but a lot of damage there. Spart1e really has no choice but to try and stack up again before he takes the fight, but Pikawa gets him, and that is going to be an easy shot. As soon as he was on that pad, that was it, especially with no Ghost Walk available. Yeah, I feel like he was just kind of banking that maybe that rail was going to finish him off. You know, he used the jump pad because he had to chase it down. He only had like 50 seconds left. He had to take down at least 2 champions, and it was more likely Pikawa was probably going to go Nyx and delay his respawn, have the Ghost Walk and survive. Would have been a pain, and I think I respect the attempt for Spy to try and follow that one through, but the rail unfortunately didn't get the frag he needed. Solid Ranger play, though, coming out of Pikawa. Ranger, again, being one of those champions that we don't see all the time, but when we do, in the hands of someone that knows how to use him, can be super impactful. But, you know, that high skill cap, if you miss that Dire Orb, if you go for a telefrag and you end up a little bit too early and you're point blank, that's not what you want to be, etc., etc. There's a lot of ups and downs, I think. Yeah, and I mean, besides the obviousness of the telefrag as well, just the mobility you get access to, the fact that it has such a short cooldown in it. You're facing off against a champion like Anarchy, someone like Spy behind the wheel that has really good movement. You need to be able to keep up with him somehow. Oh, Spy listening out, just trying to get a read on where Pikawa might be at the moment. Yeah, did just pick up the heavy armor though, so I'm not quite sure. Is he expecting Pikawa to try and get the timer here? Going to see if it's gone or not? Well, he's just trying to get some information for now, but still 10 seconds before we have the heavy. Got to watch out though, he's only got 4 rockets. That's not a huge amount for a fight that can take place down. Pikawa did only just pick up the mega health though, so definitely took his time before securing that. And there's that fight. I think Spart1e was waiting here the whole time to force a fight down here with the armor. He has the injection, but Pikawa beats him to the punch another time. That was really strange, actually. The fact that sort of he pretty much spent the entire time down there, almost the entire duration of the heavy armor not respawning, and it almost like was springing a trap the whole time, but it kind of allows Pikawa to stack up a little bit before he turns up. I mean, Spy didn't work out in the head, just straight up in the top of the head. Pikawa, again, is going to be able to survive, but at the very least, Spart1e able to get hold of the mega health for it, so going to be a little bit in the lead so far at the moment. Heavy armor 2. This is actually a really nice turnaround for Spart1e. Going to have control over them both, but no, he's not going back to the heavy armor. He's looking for the fight. I wonder if he's like, I actually do wonder if Spart1e has somewhat lost the timer on that heavy, because it was pretty much 1 second away from appearing, and he left it to go in for a fight. It took him a while to turn around and go back, but he does land 2 rails in a row. Nice stuff there. I mean, he might have, you know, been keeping the timer of the heavy armor in mind when he went in for that fight, though, because he was realizing, well, he's not picked up the heavy armor, and I just did a lot of damage to him, and I have the mega health, so I've probably got more health in him in this situation. He took the fight, and Pikawa was able to somewhat fight back, but still, things are a little bit more even now. Pikawa knocked off that Ranger for the first time in this map. You know, Spart1e's going to be happy with that, but now put onto this Doomslayer mirror match. But again, good for Spart1e. A lot of rockets coming through, going to go up anyway. Oh no, unfortunate miss. That would have been huge for this 1v1, and now Pikawa is fighting into it with Spart1e being a lot weaker than he'd like to be. I think that rail is going to be really important to keep Pikawa at arm's reach. Both players ridiculously weak, but I think Pikawa's going to come off a little bit better in that exchange, being closer to the mega health. Yeah, it looked like neither player was really interested in chasing that too much, but Pikawa is going to get taken out by Spart1e another time. Pikawa just wasn't ready for Doomslayer to be up that high, I think. And I really... Oh, another unfortunate miss. That could have been the end of the round. And another one! Spart1e missing 2 crucial rails. Unfortunately, Pikawa is left alive because of it. Yeah, and the issue he had too was not only missing those rails, but taking humongous damage himself, allowing Pikawa to sort of retreat and get some of his bearings together for what will inevitably be a really good fight for Pikawa. And we see Spart1e just able to secure a little bit of armor here, so not as squishy as he was just a few seconds ago, but that Berserk could be down for a little while. Trying to pick up some of these time crystals just to try and get some of that back, but Pikawa is chasing. He does have Ghost Walk. Oh, he's popped it. That was a really nice prediction. Oh, he'd used Ghost Walk before going on the jump pad, I see. Pikawa was going for that sneaky stuff, but Spart1e a little bit. I suppose keeping it in mind too much. Ready for that option. Spart1e's had quite a consistent issue at the end of this round, missing some of those rails. Those really, really significant rails. He's not been able to connect them, but no, he's stuck in the air. This could be horrendous for him.
Oh no, another miss! Spart1e! Actually, quite surprised that rocket only did 8 damage. It looked like it connected quite well, but Spart1e, again, he set the trap at mega health, but wasn't quite able to get the damage follow-up. He made the read, he had the prediction, but his execution let him down there. Unfortunately, Pikawa, now the Ghost Walk is back. Spart1e is there, but doesn't have any armor whatsoever. Pikawa is going to be able to dominate that 1v1 if it's taken, but Spart1e being careful again. I think Spart1e realized very quickly as well that he can sort of play this time game. Because again, we're, for a second time in a row, we're down to that 1 minute warning, right? Where things start to come a little bit more high pressure if you've got the champion lead. And there we go. Nice little flick to finish the job. And I think when you've got 1 minute left and you've got the champion lead and the other guy needs to make something happen, right? You know, they need to try and press this advantage, otherwise they're going to lose by a timeout. It pretty much forces them to play at a pace that they might not want to play. You know, it might make them a little bit more predictable. They might have to be a little bit more aggressive. And it pretty much lets them play into your hands. But it's going to be 1 round each. Spart1e on the Doomslayer, Pikawa for another time on the Ranger. But the Ranger definitely has been what's been putting the most work in we've seen from Pikawa today. Obviously, you know, we saw some of his games earlier on and throughout the months, I suppose, of Quake Champions. We know Ranger is one of his champions. You do well on it. Even this, actually, you know, just barely left alive there, Pikawa. By the skin of his teeth, but another miss. Especially seeing how important it can be to make sure that you get all of those quick flicks if you can, just to undo that work. And there we go, not going to miss that one. That could have been a dangerous chase there. If he missed that rail, it would have been point blank with no, obviously, waiting for it to cool down to shoot again.
Well, what we pretty much just witnessed was what happens when the die roll doesn't work out, right? How? Is he going in for the rail? Yeah, it does change the heavy machine gun. I'm surprised he didn't change a little bit earlier, but it does do it in the end to get that little ounce of damage needed. But we saw what happens when the die roll doesn't work. You know, how he bet the farm on it, tried to sort of get that insta-kill. Unfortunately, though, lost all of his escape options, had lost his tools to survive, and Spart1e pretty much just chased him down from start to finish, and Pikawa, in the space of 1 minute, has lost 2 champions, looking to be a third. One more shotgun blast might do it. Spart1e can even tank 1 more rail, and then still be alive enough to fight. That was a really good round for Spart1e.
Pikawa took the gauntlet out. He was looking for the melee kill, didn't find it. Shotgun going to be a little bit more supreme at that range, but I think the majority of that round was Spart1e just being 1 step ahead. You know, he was always ready, waiting to lay that ambush, and consistently it would work out. Whereas in round 2, we saw him do that consistently, but unfortunately missed the follow-up shots when ultimately Pikawa came around the corner. That round was kind of the opposite. You know, he hit the majority of the damage that he needed to, and it was a much quicker round because of it. But if Spart1e can keep up that clean execution on these shots, then we might see another turnaround on our hands here. I mean, Pikawa took that first round very dominantly, but Spart1e able to control things now. Oh wow, 3 amazing rockets there. Unfortunately, Pikawa still relatively healthy after taking 3 rockets like that. Trying to go for this armor, but Spart1e's just trying to zone him away from it.
But that's always going to be the danger he's in, right? Is that he didn't have any armor, so all that damage he took was going to be pretty much uncontested in any way.
Well, he also only had a rocket launcher that was then empty and a nail gun, so he didn't really have the right kind of weapons to take that fight, even though he knew Pikawa taking a little bit of damage there. But Pikawa has the heavy armor. Mega health for Spart1e, not a terrible trade. Oh, catch him again. 100 damage. He's waiting for it. There's that patience. 2 rockets back to back, 2 directs, and Pikawa, his Doomslayer, is out of the question.
Well, I feel like that's a huge part about fighting Doomslayer in that 1 versus 1. You know, you really can't be hasty with those rockets. You have to wait for him to pop that double jump, and then you know the second Doomslayer finally pops that double jump. That's when he's going to be vulnerable to those rockets. Oh, there we go, Spart1e. Definitely respect the attempt. You know, take the downtime in between rockets, maybe get that 1 punch. Would have taken out Pikawa very easily. But with the Ghost Walk being available, keeps him alive just for now.
He's going to know it's down, though. Ooh, unfortunate miss, but Pikawa's still backed into a corner here. It's going to be hard for him to get out of this one. There's the gauntlet. He goes for it. Goes for the cheeky stuff, but Spart1e just had way too much health, way too much armor.
I mean, there really wasn't going to be anything Pikawa could do there. I mean, he had to go in for the gauntlet. That was probably going to be the most likely source of damage he was going to get from that range too, but even if that gauntlet connected, Spart1e has way too much stack to play with right now.
Yep. But that's what he gets, you know, those few seconds while your opponent's respawning, you get a run around the map, cycle those pickups, make sure you control as much as possible, and now tank is the right word for it, as Spart1e now has plenty of health and armor to take this fight. But Pikawa, we saw him take the first round with just his Ranger, so he's already showed he can take out all 3 of Spart1e's with just this 1 champion. But again, backed into one of the die roll, didn't connect, and now Pikawa in a miserable situation. But Spart1e, no armor, going to favor the armor in this situation, knowing that 1 rail from Pikawa could have changed everything there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? If there's 1 champion in this game that doesn't need to care about a stack, it's going to be Ranger. If he lands that die roll, he's going in for the shotgun, unfortunately getting the Mega as well. This should be a free frag, and it is going to be that indeed. A very sort of convincing first map for Spart1e right there. Yeah, especially after what was the complete opposite in that first round, where Pikawa was able to very dominantly take it, with that one champion clean win, to the point that I thought that, well, as long as he keeps hold of Ranger, surely he should be all right. But it's that adaptation. Spart1e, he was looking a little bit shaky earlier on, was missing a lot of those crucial shots, but started to land them. His reads were the same. He just, had the right shots where he needed them and was able to take things quite convincingly from that point on. Do you think we see that maintain, or is Pikawa going to try and shake things up roster-wise, maybe a different map? Like, what would you expect to see here?
I think regardless of what happens, the map choice is going to be a change of pace anyway. I feel like, we could see a Corrupted Keep here. It's a really good map for Ranger. It's Corrupted Keep, and I think Pikawa's been doing really good with Ranger all day. That was pretty much his star. I really feel like that was one of his star champions when he was up against Garpy earlier today. So we could likely see him stick with the same roster. I think these players at this stage in the tournament are likely to sort of go with what they know, in terms of like the champions they like to use. I think even Spart1e, I feel like he's got a really impressive Doomslayer, and he's always had a really impressive Doomslayer. I mean, even before the most recent patch, which sort of altered a few things, like the Berserk punch hitbox and stuff like that, and obviously taking some of those top characters down a little bit. Spart1e was still using Doomslayer on Winrar Salesman on that sacrifice, but after seeing the map that has been selected, actually brings me on to what I was going to say. It reminds me of when we used to see Ranger as very common. Early days, the QWC, the Quake champions, would see him picked a lot of time, almost like a safety comfort pick. Blood Run was a heavily favored map for this champion specifically, and Blood Run is in fact where we're going now. So Pikawa looks like he really wants to take this one home. I like this idea that we have seen Pikawa actually go with the two together. Where he actually goes. Normally you'll see Doomslayer or Ranger. You don't often see them both picked at the same time. Sometimes players opt to go with one or the other. But I feel like Pikawa so far, he has a nice amount of sort of stack with the champion lineup he's got, but I think Spart1e's going a bit more traditional. Doomslayer, Anarchy, and Nyx is kind of like the standard right now. Obviously, it used to be Sorlag before, but now, obviously, Doomslayer getting picked a little bit more than Sorlag in duel at the very least. But I think, even at something like DreamHack Denver, we saw a nice amount of variation coming out of these players. But I think at the stage in the tournament where, just to remind everyone at home, this is our qualification match. If Spart1e wins this map, he's going to move on 2-0, and he will qualify, and in fact be our first player to qualify for DreamHack Winter for this final qualifier. I think we've had so many amazing players have qualified already. Razy making it directly because of his win in Denver. It's pretty much really made it a complete free-for-all, for the players that are left to make it. Razy was definitely going to be a favourite if he didn't qualify through Denver, but because he did, there's so many players here all fighting for that one spot that are all so equal in skill level. I think it's resulting in a really entertaining tournament so far. Still though, Spart1e being one map away from qualifying, that's one of those really good situations where you realise that, by this point, these guys have been playing in this tournament for hours already. They've been playing for a long time, all evening, and now knowing that you are, on average, how long are these maps being? They're being about, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes they can go longer. But knowing you're basically like, let's round it off to about 20 minutes, right? You might be 20 minutes away from knowing you've qualified for that DreamHack Winter. You know what money's on the line. You know what the competition's going to be. And you want to see your name among that huge group of talented players. Through qualifying as well, right? It's not through... you have to earn it through hard graft, and there's no other way around it. Unfortunately, Pikawa has not had the same level of success he's had on those Dire Orbs. And I feel like he's sort of gotten away with some of the errors before. I think he's not really been punished too heavily just yet. But in many ways, I feel like if these Dire Orbs keep missing, it's only going to be a matter of time before he'll lose a round on that, maybe two. Who knows? I think we've got to say, though, one thing we're definitely seeing is those adjustments to Lightning Gun, at least in this series between these two players so far, has clearly made a difference. They've really... Oh, wow! Whoa. And you were saying about those Dire Orbs, and there we go. Don't need to get punished if you get the Telefrag, that's going to do a lot of damage. Well, I love this idea that Pikawa goes for Ranger consistently, because Spart1e pretty much goes for Doomslayer first every time. Doomslayer is such a dangerous champion to pick because of his combination of mobility, his stack. And if you're Ranger, and you are Pikawa, and you can land those Dire Orbs to pretty much delete any stack regardless. You almost use it as a pseudo melee weapon, where you see him with his fists out, and he's going to try and punch you in the head, and you're like, well, I'm going to throw a Dire Orb out and see if I can kill you in one. And that's what we saw. That's a good answer for a high stack, and I think Doomslayer is Spart1e's answer to that. I think obviously Pikawa's Ranger is a direct answer to that as well. But still, though, I suppose briefly going back to what I was saying before that, the Lightning Gun just really hasn't been as much of a decisive thing here in this match between these two players. Obviously, we see those adjustments, and now, you were saying before, the rockets really have become that kind of like most important weapon to have, rockets and rails together. But we're seeing that 100% here. I mean, both players. Oh, nice. There's that beautiful shot on Pikawa. Able to take out an Anarchy, no less, as well. Someone that small from that distance.
Good stuff. That was a really good result for Pikawa, though, because he's going to maintain a really nice level of control in the middle of this map. And I feel like, you know, Pikawa with Ranger, one of the best champions on Blood Run at taking control of the middle of the map, because you have so much control over the top and the bottom. He can pretty much go wherever he wants to at any moment. Even this rail right here is going to do a good job of just keeping Spart1e consistently behind. You know, fighting for the Mega, fighting for the Heavy. It's so easy for Ranger to take this. You know, it's so easy for Ranger to take it, that if Spart1e tries to fight for this, he's in big trouble, because he hasn't got the Heavy, he hasn't got the Mega. He's Nyx, no Ghost Walk. I know it's just come back, but this is going to be a hard situation for Spart1e regardless, though, because Pikawa now, I mean, we're approaching halfway point of the round, has control of the Mega, has control of the Heavy, and Spart1e, you know, squishy Nyx. The Ghost Walk is going to be useful, but much shorter cooldown on that Dire Orb, so Pikawa's going to get a lot more opportunities with that. But that's the dangerous thing, isn't it? Is that even if you don't telefrag, the Dire Orb itself has a nice hitbox on it and does a huge chunk of damage. Just use that in combination with the rest of the weapons. Oh, Pikawa tries to go for that mid-air Dire Orb. That would have been beautiful, but Spart1e still alive, trying to go through. Oh, that clutch rail ever so slightly misses. Shades of map number 1 coming back. But unfortunately, coming through, not as much ammo on that rail as I think Pikawa knew he had. You know, there's 2 times they actually tried to line up the rail shot and he had no ammunition. I think that's direct change, you know, some of the maps where you get a slightly less amount of ammo on certain weapons, you know, rocket launcher, rail, and LG, I believe. I think some of these players are having a tricky time sort of adjusting to the new ammo change, and unfortunately, yeah, Pikawa coming straight through. Very good round 1, but managing that rail ammo has been something some of these players have been having a bit of a hard time with. It does, I was wondering what we'd see at the end of that round, though, considering Pikawa, he was looking to do another one of those one-champion sweeps with just the Ranger. And as soon as he lost it, and there was still 2 minutes on the board for Spart1e, I was like, yeah, this is definitely still possible, but yeah, wasn't meant to be. Nice read on that heavy armor, going to get picked up anyway, though. Again, trading out heavy for Mega. Using the Berserk as well, sort of get that increase in speed, trying to take the heavy without being challenged too much. Quite a common start we see with a Doomslayer using the Berserk to sort of secure an early power-up, get out of there unseen. And again, we're back to this exchange. We know Pikawa has been looking good with this Ranger on top, but I think whenever Spart1e has been able to take out this Ranger first, it has been a significantly easier round for him. But on the flip side, Pikawa can get that momentum train running and he starts getting those almost, I don't want to say impossible Dire Orbs, but very difficult Dire Orbs. You know, it does seem to swing momentum quite substantially. And again, going back to that ammo, right, only has 3 shots left on this rail. You have to be so careful managing it now. I think particularly on this map. You know, this is actually one of the most common maps where players run out of rails, and it can be a bit of a hard time replenishing some of that ammo. You know, right in the middle of the map, it's quite a vulnerable place to be. Well, it looks like Pikawa not too interested in chasing that then. Just trying to replenish some of these rockets, knowing just how important that is now. But again, both players looking to exercise caution. I'm not really surprised. We know what they're playing for. We understand what's on the line here. And with Spart1e being 1 map up, I mean, Pikawa really cannot afford to make any mistakes whatsoever, even though he does have a round lead. We've already seen it. This is Quake Champions, how quickly things can turn around regardless of the situation. That's the problem with being a map down, right? I think the room for error has been completely deleted. You know, there is no more space for mistakes, because if the single error in judgment costs you a round, you only have 3 rounds to work with, then you're out. But with Rockets chasing it down with the Dire Orb, so actually he might still be able to seize this one. But I mean, Spart1e would have heard that as well. Like, he's going to realize that Pikawa's nearby, but what does he do with that information? You know, the Mega Health's going to be here, and Pikawa does manage to get it. So yeah, obviously picked up the heavy armor before as well, so Pikawa is in full map control again. But you said this is what Ranger can do quite well on Blood Run. You know, the short cooldown of that Dire Orb, his limitless mobility options here. You know, normally teleporters are quite a big deal, or use rocket jumps and hurt yourself, and Ranger just doesn't really have to worry about any of that. Nice. Just right there, right? Normally it's very dangerous to contest that heavy armor, to go for it when you know someone's peppering it with rockets, but in comes the Dire Orb. Just like that, you are out of the bad situation immediately. But I mean, check that out, right? He did the rocket jump into Dire Orb, and then 2 shards later, he's got 10 seconds left, and he's already got it back. Still though, no frags to be found on this round just yet, so the clock not really working for either player. But the closer we get to that 5 minutes, the more of these players will realize that that timeout is going to be an option. They just have to make sure they get that first hit. And another miss from Pikawa. Heavy armor does manage to go in the way of Spart1e this time, and Spart1e's hanging around. Pikawa taking a little bit of damage here. Another one connects. Again, doesn't like Spart1e wants to chase it. Looks like Spart1e just wants to focus on getting 100% of these pickups, and he will do both. Mega health and heavy armor for him now. Spart1e's going to realize Pikawa right now is going to be a bit more squishier than usual. This is, I believe, the first time in the round that Pikawa hasn't had control over them. He's going to have to get more rails again, though. You'll notice he's out of ammo for another time. This could be a problem. Spart1e springs the trap. Can't quite survive. Pikawa tried to sort of make that comeback happen with the dire orb, but unfortunately, the blink of an eye didn't work out, and he got caught. But I love the ability to like spring these traps in this map. Doomslayer.
But it just goes to show how important sound is, right, and how much of a big part that can play. You know, Spart1e was sitting there. He heard Pikawa pick up. You know, I assume he heard it. You know, he heard nail gun, armor. So it was a good bet that he was running in the direction of the door. And Spart1e, that preemptive rocket, was the rocket that put Pikawa in the air. That guaranteed the follow-up. You know, it's that kind of patience that is what separates these guys. You know, this is why they are here. It's why they are the top-level players. It's because they use literally everything in the game to get that kind of 1v1. It truly is remarkable. So though, back to this Doomslayer 1v1, but Spart1e 100% has time on his side. But Pikawa going for that point-blank fight, and there we go. Pikawa is able to win it. I just don't think Spart1e expected Pikawa to be there.
I don't think Spart1e even remotely expected Pikawa to chase that one. Because by the time Pikawa had actually gone through there and chased it down with the rockets, like Spart1e had already long turned round and was already to start moving again. But no, just chasing it down.
Still though, just like that, Spart1e had the lead. He had the advantage to play with the clock, and almost just as fast, he'd lost that right. And now we're back to 2 versus 2. A big fight could bring him here, but no, Spart1e manages to get it. Didn't have his injection, so any rockets there direct probably would have done it. But now, 10 seconds left to go. I mean, it is Anarchy. Probably going to be able to get away in this one. Pikawa doesn't really have the weapons to deal with it. Has lightning gun, but that's it. He's just going to run away. 3 seconds left to go. Pikawa has no choice but to chase, or has he given up? No, there we go. He has conceded. He's standing there thinking about, what do I do next? Most likely going to go back to that Ranger first, I assume.
Unfortunate spawn there for Pikawa. He didn't really spawn or anything that was going to allow him to get that early burst of damage. He only had 10 seconds, really, after he respawned, and he only had a basic machine gun and an LG. That's not going to be anywhere near enough to shred someone from far distance.
Oh, Pikawa's actually started with Doomslayer this time. That's interesting.
Yeah, he did that on Ruins, too. He has changed it up a little bit. Before...
Uh-oh, bad situation for Pikawa to be in. Spart1e's not going to chase it, though. Which makes him wonder why he wouldn't in that situation. He does have a considerable amount of stack. He's going to know that at that point Pikawa was very low, and let's give Pikawa a little bit of a chance to stock back up again.
It's likely that Spart1e was uncomfortable not having a rail.
True, no,
in those instances when you want to chase someone down, I think not having all of the sort of I guess, you know, power weapons that you could use in this kind of situation. He's only got one more rocket too, so he has to focus on getting the weaponry before he starts taking the fights.
And that's what he does. He has access to both Mega and Heavy now, which is good. Pikawa there. A little bit of damage done to himself with that rocket, so you have to be careful taking the fight after doing that kind of self-damage. Still, though, the Mega health going to be up soon. Is Pikawa there? Not quite, it seems. Oh, no, he's waiting at the teleporter. Pikawa with that read, but a lot of damage, unfortunately.
Yeah, even though he was almost like trying to spring a trap there, it was not in his favor. Like, that did not come off well for him at all. And he's lost the Mega and Heavy. He's lost full control. I guess the only bonus is that he hasn't lost his champion, but, I mean, that is a lot to give up for one bad decision. That quick double jump over the gap just to try and minimize any chance of being in danger, but Pikawa trying to get the LG, manages to bag one rail, but a couple of health pickups there for both players, so no one in immediate danger. Actually looks like, look at the timer, they literally used Berserk at the exact same time. Wow. So the heavy armor again going to Spart1e. Pikawa just cannot seem to control these at the moment. Yeah, Spart1e's had pretty much the majority of the control throughout this round.
Nice shot though, exchanging one hit for one miss. You'll take that. But the Berserk is back for both players.
Springing the trap for a second time.
Oh, hang on, Pikawa went a little bit too far there. That one damage rocket, followed by 70. That's a little bit more, for sure. Oof, and Spart1e walking straight into that one, but what health is nearby? Pikawa, there's the Mega. Oh, he's got it in time. Oh, he beat him there. Oh, he did get it. And there we go, running straight through. Spart1e has no interest in sticking around there. Oh, preemptive rail means he can't fight. And there we go, Pikawa is going to punish that mistake. And that is going to be the first frag of the round. Pikawa now in the driver's seat again.
I think that was a really good situation for Spart1e, in fact, where he sort of used that Berserk to not only get the health to fight for the Mega, the fact he was able to kind of steal it underneath Pikawa's nose, but unfortunately he wasn't really able to get anything done with it.
Mega health going to be up soon. Most likely to go to Spart1e. Yep, there we go, the Anarchy. Movement a little bit too hard to stop there. Heavy armor is the next mission. Oh, but no, Spart1e missed it. He used a rocket jump to try and get to it, but actually didn't pick it up at all. But Pikawa wasn't there to punish him for it. Don't think Pikawa was aware of it. Unbelievably low on ammo too. He used his one last rocket and he had one rail left, and that was it. I mean, like he had the sort of the situation where he was looking for a shot, but because he had no ammo, I mean, right, no damage, unfortunately. And even then, with that ammo box, he still only has 4 rockets left. We can wonder what's going to happen on the rest of this, though, because we know that Spart1e's going to need that frag, because Pikawa... I mean, Doomslayer is deceivingly hard to pin down with that double jump, you know, with the rockets being so prominent. He can juke them a little bit better than other champions in the game, I suppose, with that double jump, with that enhanced movement. But also, he does maintain his speed with those jumps, so he still can be surprisingly fast. And if all you have to do is buy a minute's worth of time for the timeout, I mean, I guess he's against Anarchy, who can chase you down quite well, but it's not impossible. He's got the benefit of Blood Run, with the exception of a couple of moments that can really sort of navigate the top of this map and go wherever he wants to be. Pikawa, because that mist rail is going to allow him to sort of create that distance just for a little bit. But Spart1e, you can see he's chasing this one down. He understands that he can't mess around. He has to secure a frag. That ammo box is going to be crucial for this fight. It's giving him just enough rockets to stay in fight, but Spart1e with that quick swap to the rail is again going to be able to take that one down and even things up. Spart1e, that has to be careful. He's very low, forced to pop the injection. And the mega health goes to Pikawa, so we're probably going to see a sudden death here at least, but Spart1e, no armor. It's not a good situation to be in as Anarchy. There's a little bit now, better than nothing. He's taking a significant amount of damage, and there was that slightly delayed Ghost Walk. You definitely respect the use of that. It was going to keep him alive. I think if he's stuck in the air, he was only going to survive for so long if he didn't have access to that. We probably would have seen a mid-air from that one. Still though, Axe Nix versus Anarchy, there we go, is that kind of like quintessential 1v1 we've seen quite a lot, and it seems quite hard to pin down because they've both got very versatile abilities. You know, you can use them for being aggressive and chasing down, or for getting out of a fight if you need to. But Anarchy's just raw speed is just so good at just controlling the pickups themselves. But then again, the Ghost Walk is better at surviving a fight because even though you pop an injection, you can still take damage. You can't shoot while you do it. How you play around it. Nice damage. The Ghost Walk is there. It is popped. Pikawa very low now. Does he go? Oh, he's still here. And wow, yeah, Pikawa's suicide. But even if it wasn't a suicide, there's no way he wouldn't have died there anyway. That would have been very unfortunate. Actually, notice that Spart1e survived with essentially what was 1 HP as well. Got a good read on where Nix was going to reappear, and that was all he needed. But there we go. One more round, and Spart1e qualifies for DreamHack Winter. The stressful situation for Pikawa to be in. Yep, he's got to about it. He's got to turn the dial up. You know, he needs to make something happen. Oh, pop the Berserk. Gets one punch, but it's the Superman. It's the Superman Berserk, but oh no. I mean, I respect the attempt, right? At the very beginning, you've got those 75 damage punches. The lock-on is now better than it once was. Unfortunately, because he was down on the bottom of that ledge, even though he actually locked on by the time he jumped up there, he didn't really get anything going from that, and that's kind of unfortunate. Still though, perfect start for Pikawa though, getting that first frag so quickly. I mean, we saw what Pikawa can do when he has time to work with, you know, when he can really set the pace. Oh, what a beautiful shot! Pikawa nailing it again, taking Spart1e down to just his Nix already. And again, in one of these really back and forth sort of situations, we've gone from overtime to maybe less than a minute. He has to read. Oh no, wow. But Spart1e reappearing with the gauntlet in hand. I mean, we can't count out Spart1e. Nix is a comeback machine and one of the best champions in the game that makes those 3 straight comebacks over and over and over because of the Ghost Walk, because of her hitbox, her mobility. Like, she's a fantastic champion for getting the job done. And there we go. So many nails coming through, taking huge damage to Pikawa. However, gets away with 1 rocket. I mean, it could happen. It could still happen here. I mean, Spart1e would have seen those damage numbers. He would have been well aware on just how much damage he did to Pikawa there. There was no way Pikawa could afford to do anything. You know, he had to fight because if he ran away, he would have been chased down effortlessly. But just like that, Pikawa is now, I mean, a fitting finish, right? Pikawa, his Ranger is all that stands between him and not qualifying for DreamHack Winter, at least in the winner's side. Spart1e, the work is almost over. He could be 1 frag away. Or we could be a whole other map. Who knows? I mean, it's crazy, really. You know, we can't count out Pikawa. You know, this was the guy that, especially on his Ranger. If he's got Ranger left, you definitely cannot say it's over. Hang on. Uh-oh. Oh, it's aggressive. Very important use of the teleporter there just to get out.
I think he threw the die roll and then used the teleport. That's like the ultimate, like, how do you read where he's gone with that? Like, is he going to go die roll or is he going to do teleport? Like, they're so far away from each other. There we go. I mean, he must have picked up some time shards because he already has the die roll back again. Big wish though, the Ghost Walk going to be up soon, probably by the time they commit to this fight, but depends if that's what we see. But if you're Nyx and you have no Ghost Walk, that die roll became a big danger. Because you've got the access to rockets doing huge damage, and now you've got... Oh, that miss from Pikawa. Oh, he tries to go for the telefrag, but Pikawa manages to just die rob out of there. Still the game's off a nice amount of stack. Missing another rail. Pikawa too, no, opts to go for the rockets instead from that distance. Low on ammo. This is possible that Pikawa may have had no rails as well. Maybe. We have seen that multiple times actually where they've not had the rail ammo. You see, it's important, Spart1e making sure he is as topped up as possible at all situations. You really can't afford to mess around with that rocket damage. I mean, it's one thing when LG's there, right? And normally as Nyx, you kind of, you know, Ghost Walk out of a stream of LG and get away, but Ghost Walk or no Ghost Walk, direct rockets hurt. And when rockets are as prominent as they are now, no ammo for another time. Lining up the shot. That could have been the DreamHack winter rail right there, but unfortunately, no ammo in the tank. Yes, some now though. Speak Wish just ran out of rockets. Oh, dearie me. Oh no, both players whiffing rails left, right, and center. Only 2 left. Die roll coming in. Does he chase? He does, but he backs off immediately. Pikawa does not want to commit. I think if anything, that was used just to scare him off with the Mega Health, as now Pikawa has used that one moment of weakness from Spart1e to get both Mega Health and Heavy Armor. Yeah, that die roll was definitely just to push Spart1e away. You know, that one. It's basically a big wall. He just threw a wall at him. But it forced him to run away, and now he's got full control over Mega and Heavy. And I think if you're in the situation where one champion is all that is between you and DreamHack Winter, you're against Nyx, right? You know, and Ranger, his ability to do huge damage to Nyx with a rocket launcher and die roll combined, if he's got full control, it's just going to make his life so much easier when they inevitably have their fight. Preemptive rocket just try and get him off the heavy armor, but Spart1e is able to pick it up. That's good for him for sure. Mega Health not going to be up for quite some time. Still though, looking good in the rocket department, but only 2 rails. He's got to watch out though, because he did use his Ghost Walk to try and secure the heavy. I mean, like even right now, he's super weak, but the die roll to head him off. Pikawa, fantastic read. Knowing he was likely to go up there to try and escape, die roll to chase it down. Fantastic decision. Pikawa though, I mean, he set himself, you know, basically 40 HP in total with, you know, some health and a little bit of armor. That could have been 1 rocket. He was 1 left click away from winning that round. But no, we are going into a round 5 and Pikawa taking a lot of damage from nails immediately. There's the Berserk. Oh dear. Oh dear. Tries to Berserk to try and secure the heavy. Unfortunately, runs straight into Pikawa with rocket first. That's unfortunate. This is a really good turnaround for Pikawa. I mean, he was 1 round away from not winning this in winner's side at the very least, but now takes that first frag with relative ease. And now into this 5th round at the very least. I mean, this was Pikawa's map choice, so we kind of expected him to look very comfortable, but we thought it would be mainly for the Ranger, but it really is this Doomslayer start that is getting him these rounds so far. You know, he's leaving that Ranger until last, so he's got it as like almost like that anchor of the team to rely on, and so much damage coming through. That's not going to be a miss at all. Pikawa is going to take it down, and now Pikawa is 1 champion away from tying things up, 1 map apiece, and we will be going down to map 3 at this rate. Well, this is a very dangerous situation for Spart1e. You know, we've seen some pretty good comebacks already, but he has a lot of work to do in this final round. He's lost 2 champions in the space of 1 minute. I mean, it's more than a simple case of, right, you know, 1 champion versus 3. No, it's heavy armor, it's mega health, it's weapons, it's everything. Pikawa has all the momentum he possibly needs, as well as that Berserk stocked and ready if ever he needs it. I mean, you know, the punches do 75. That is Nyx's health without armor. So if he catches her without armor and has Berserk, he is just going to punch her to death. Just sort of trying to somewhat keep him behind for a bit. As long as he's maintaining control in the middle of this map, as always, it's going to allow Doomslayer to just have so much more of a frightening stack over Nyx. But the fact they've got similar forms of mobility, it's only ever really going to give Doomslayer an advantage here. Spart1e used that Ghost Walk again to try and confirm the heavy armor, but again, I think that really was Pikawa's ability to just always know, right, it's coming up, he's probably using his ability to get it.
And time after time, he made that correct read, and it paid off. And just like that, you know, we were literally one frag away from that being the end of the series, but Pikawa has another thing or two to say about that, as now we're going into map 3. I think it's a fitting way to start things off, you know, knowing this is the last day of qualifications for DreamHack Winter. This is literally the last chance they're going to get to do this. This is the kind of gameplay we want to see. I think at this level of play too, right? You said it yourself. This is the final week to qualify. The players are going to be pulling out all the stops, and I think I'm happy to see that Pikawa is able to stay alive in this tournament. It's going to be 1-1 now. I mean, he did defeat Garpy in the winner's side 2-0. You know, we saw Garpy in grand finals of DreamHack Denver. You know, that was a crazy good tournament for Garpy, and we might be seeing him later on in the losers bracket. But either way, Pikawa with a very strong win against him, it shows that this guy clearly means business, and especially in this tournament. It actually seems like, and I personally think it's a really good thing, at least from like a spectator perspective, is and also Corrupted Keep is going to be the first map.
Yes.
First map? Third map. Good lord, what am I talking about? 2 words in one, but you were saying. But I like how it seems quite hard to predict results at the moment. I know sort of like online, you know, players playing at home, playing in comfortable situations, however it is they play on a day-to-day basis, is one thing. But at all the major tournaments so far, the results seem quite unpredictable. And I think that's a really good thing for the competitive side of the game. Like you just said, right? Garpy, who second place at DreamHack Denver, is already in the loser side of today's tournament. Like, this kind of unpredictability that I think is good, because if you don't just obviously know who's going to win, it makes it a bit more exciting, makes it a bit more, I suppose, spectator friendly. But at the same time, it means that the players have to constantly be on their toes. The players have to always be playing at their best and adapting as the game changes. Now we're expecting these guys to go in for the same lineup, and they do manage to do just that. I think it's really dangerous, though, that Pikawa has got his Ranger on Corrupted Keep. Really strong map for this champion, I find. You know, the fact that you've got high damage output anyway. The dire orb, but the general size of Corrupted Keep is fantastic for someone like Ranger, because he can pretty much dire orb wherever he wants to go. I actually feel like a lot of the champions that Pikawa have do a good job of actually using their abilities to sort of go from one major item to the other. You know, you get the Mega into Heavy or vice versa. I think Ranger can do a really good job of getting both really quickly. Doomslayer absolutely can. Nyx does a good job of essentially ambushing on those points. But either way, I'm excited to see what these players pull out of the bag for this one. I mean, this is our final map for this round. One thing I don't think either player is going to mind at the very least is obviously the fact that there's no rail on Corrupted Keep. I think is like, I would say it's probably safe to say that both players' rail have been probably both of their most inconsistent weapon in this series alone so far. Obviously, you know, they've been hitting some crazy shots, but they've also been missing a lot of them too. Which I think now, if you take the rail out of the equation, and now it's just go back to the weapons that they have been the strongest on, I think both players will be a little bit more comfortable knowing that that's not something they have to worry about as much on this map. So here we go, Corrupted Keep, our third and final map, and he goes in. Wow, huge damage already. And if he would have left that dire orb for just half a second later, we may have even have seen some sort of telefrag there. Would have been a crazy good start. But this is, for those that may have just joined us, the qualification map. Whichever player wins this map qualifies directly for DreamHack Winter. Very important indeed. No more messing around. This is it. Oh, this is final map, and Spart1e going to get that first frag with a nail gun and take out Pikawa's Ranger in the process. We were just saying how dangerous it could be for Spart1e that Pikawa has Ranger on Corrupted Keep, knowing that we've seen him do some crazy things on it, but to take out that first champion, that's the minute in. But going in that super shotgun, that Doom special, Pikawa is going to get that return frag immediately. Held onto his Berserk, did not need it, and is going to have it if Spart1e tries to force an early fight on his spawn, which it doesn't look like he's going to do. He only has a railgun so far. Well, they've both sort of lost their one variable, you know, the champion that almost separates the two. But now we have 2 Doomslayers, 2 Nyx. Complete mirror match. Yes, indeed. Still though, Mega Health, Heavy Armor is up too. How's going to be looking for it? Does indeed. Oh no, Spart1e, my mistake. Plenty of rockets to work with. You know, Pikawa has ammo for days, really. Which is one thing we haven't seen so far. Normally both players have been quite starved on them, but maybe it's Corrupted Keep, maybe it's the fact that it is just so much more of a contested weapon on this map. I feel like it does a good job of showing just how important, like, I feel like with Corrupted Keep in particular, as each patch comes through and the weapons get changed, Corrupted Keep in particular, the weapons that players like to use almost like fluctuates. You very rarely see people go with LG as consistent. Oh, wow! No! That was a mistake and a half from Pikawa. He saw that direct, he moved in for the second, but moved in a little bit too far, stood on the exit to that teleporter, and Pikawa just gets taken out. Oh no,
dear.
That's going to be a finish.
Yep.
Ambushed completely. I mean, like,
That face when you get a telefrag and it's not with your ranger, but you still manage to somehow find a way. That's unfortunate right there.
Indeed, but it is already the end of the first round. This is the style of Corrupted Keep. Sometimes maps can take half an hour, sometimes they take 5 minutes. Usually it's Corrupted Keep that takes 5 minutes. There's that Berserk popped immediately, but there we go, 3 rockets. Oh! But Pikawa is going to get that return frag, and that really has been the Pikawa style. Even if he loses a map, or a round I should say, quite convincingly, he'll always seem to manage to take that first frag in response quite cleanly. That was a little bit of an unfortunate Berserk though. Obviously you're going to be stuck into that sort of melee. Right as he went around the corner, he got tagged by the rocket, knocked up into the air. It's definitely not the first time we've seen Spart1e do it.
Yeah, you're kind of you're at the mercy of gravity right there, right? And if you get caught in the air and you've already used your double jump, it makes your landing super predictable. Pikawa's just going to naturally wait for that.
Well, I feel like it's a little bit all or nothing to start things off, because obviously, like, if you beat them there with that Berserk, obviously you're going to get the weapon or the item first, and then if they still want to fight, you're then going to have it for that fight. But if you use it and you get beaten there, like in that situation, he Berserks there to an opponent that is there standing with the rocket launcher while he's got his fists out. It's just not what you need at that situation.
But he did have a fantastic job right there, sort of like evening things out. I actually really liked the fact that he beat him to the Mega. Pretty much sealed his fate the second he beat him to that Mega earlier on.
It's indeed, but Spart1e taking out Pikawa's Ranger again. Now he's quite a tanked up Anarchy. Injection going to be up soon as well. Again, you can see both players going for it there. Heavy Armor going to be up in a few seconds also. These rocket damage, I mean, so many cautious rockets. A lot of these, like, they can't even see each other. They just know where they're likely to be, and they're just trying to get that damage. As they come around a corner, try and chip them down. Spart1e goes through, misses a rocket, unfortunately.
And even if it's not just pure damage, it's just information, right? If you're shooting those caution rockets, expect them to potentially be around a corner. Even if the rocket does no damage, you know that they are in fact there.
I mean, especially on Keep, where it's a map that you do now, you know, on a lot of other maps, you can't afford to be this, I suppose, loose with your rockets, because obviously you have a lot less of them to work with. It's quite hard to get them back up. But on Corrupted Keep, there are so many rockets all over the place that you really can't afford to just pepper around with them.
Well, I mean, how many times do we see players run out of rockets and rails on Blood Run just now?
Oh,
finishes the job.
Pikawa.
Splat. Turn to paste.
Yes, indeed. But Pikawa now on this Nyx alone. Now we're going past that halfway point of the round. I mean, it's definitely doable. I'm not going to say it's not, but Spart1e, if he takes this, is going to be up 2 rounds to 0 in what is qualification map, and there's a direct 1 round to go. We are match point for Spart1e. He wins this, he makes DreamHack winter.
This has been quite a fast map too. And you said,
Corrupted Keep.
You said it right, yeah, Corrupted Keep. It's one of those maps that is just a complete change of pace.
3, 2,
but here we go. This could be a 3-0 right here.
Still though, Pikawa, when he loses a round, has consistently been able to get that first frag quite quickly. So, especially starting on that Ranger again, Spart1e's going to know he's looking for it. Speaking of which though, runs around the corner into a relatively harmless super shotgun. I mean, for that close, 24 damage, that's just a little bit unfortunate, really. Doesn't get that much damage.
I guess sometimes it just happens, doesn't it? But he's going to chase down Pikawa. He's going to be hot on the trail. Doesn't want to allow him. Spart1e goes in towards the heavy, though. Maybe a bit of a read, expecting him to go towards the left rather than the right. Or he's just trying to fight for the heavy. But either way, I think taking control of that is going to be fantastic against Anarchy, for sure. But this would be a great result for Spart1e. He's getting chased. Oh, 100. I mean, the second you see that 100, you know that that guy's either going to have to stop moving or he's going to die.
One thing about Corrupted Keep, though, is one part we see of this map all the time, which was something we see a lot, you know, I suppose on other patches of the game, is the contested area for the lightning gun is a bit of a death sentence, because if you're caught up there, it's quite easy for you to get finished off, it's quite easy for you to not let out. But because the lightning gun is relatively being ignored, like, Spart1e's been ahead the whole time and hasn't even picked one up yet. He has no interest in using that lightning gun. Hang on a minute! This fight could go through! Pikawa missed the Dire Orb, but it's going to get the return rocket anyway. Pikawa throwing a lifeline, still alive now. But still, though, you know, Spart1e has been ignoring that lightning gun and hasn't had to worry about that area at all. So it's just weird seeing that entire section of the map being completely ignored.
Moving for Berserk. Is he chasing it? Oh, yeah, that would have been a bit too risky, I think, chasing that one down.
Right, he's just run out. Oh, couple of nails. And there we go, there's that speed. That range can get you almost from one of those big power-ups to the other, but a lot of damage coming through. Spart1e trying to chase it. Pikawa, 3 health.
Can he get away in time?
Spart1e catch him. Oh, predictions!
Fantastic.
That was really well placed.
I think it's like Pikawa, he was like crouching around, picked up a couple of health and was like, ah, there we go. How about that? I would have been very worried actually going towards that health. Even the smallest rocket probably would have finished him off. He had 3 health, picked up 125. That's really not going to do a huge amount for you. Pikawa being a little bit predictable with the teleporter. Didn't take a huge amount of damage for now, but unfortunately, even if he tries to survive with the super shotgun, Spart1e has so much more stack. It's beginning to add up, but the mega health will do a good job of just picking that back up again. The Berserk is now back for Spart1e, though we might have a little bit of a man-to-man confrontation right now. Fisticuffs. I feel like it would be a great result for Spart1e if he's able to win this, because we've seen Spart1e consistently at Quake Champions lands, but some of his performances at those lands haven't been, like, I guess, as successful as we know he can pull off in terms of like his general performance. But to be honest, you know, I think qualifying for DreamHack Winter is another great way for him to sort of maintain that level. Oh, catches him on the mega health, but only 15. That's not going to deter Pikawa at all. Still going to have most of that stack. Now Spart1e has to be careful taking these fights, knowing Pikawa is basically going to be him, but stronger. That's the issue when you've both got that mirror match situation. If someone just straight up has more stack than you, it's a complete advantage, really. But yeah, another time that Spart1e is just ignored lightning gun. And look at how much damage he's getting with these nails. That does so much. But Spart1e still low on health, forced to berserk just to try to pick up these smalls. Mega health going to be up, trying to get through. Oh, taking a lot of damage here. Only has 14 left. Is Pikawa going to get there? No, Pikawa decides to take some armor instead. Yeah, he doesn't want to overextend. The problem is, one good rocket can do so much damage in one go. I just don't think Pikawa is prepared to take that risk. Even if he could theoretically chase down a kill, if there's even a small risk that one direct will take him out, when he's match point down, I just don't think he's prepared.
Pikawa has to play like his tournament life depends on it, because it does. Like, if he loses this round, that is it. He's down into loser's bracket and he has to work all that way back up again to losers finals to try and qualify. Or he wins here and the work is done. But that's the situation that Spart1e is in now. 2 rounds to 0. Pikawa cannot afford to make any mistakes at all. Oh, the trap gets sprung. 1 minute warning though. This might be the last champion matchup we see today if Spart1e wins this.
Pikawa has the tools to be more aggressive here though. If he catches one good rocket, we might see it, but let's see how this final round goes. We have such a short amount of time left as well. They're chasing it down the double jump to try and be a little bit harder to pin down, but there we go! Netmaster, 100 damage on the rocket. And in the blink of an eye, it's just been turned around so quickly. Pikawa's in big trouble here.
He is. He hasn't got any armor. There might be a small one around. He goes for it, but he gets red. Hang on a minute. That rocket doesn't quite connect. Pikawa throwing lifeline. Still alive. Going for the heavy armor. Isn't quite up yet. Does he hang around or does he run? No, he stays. He stayed for it. But no. He's getting chased down. All that armor and health progress is gone already. 10 seconds away from overtime. This might be the end. Oh, only 9 damage.
But it's constantly telling Spart1e where Pikawa is, right? Even if he's not getting huge damage off those rockets, it's giving him that information that he needs to stay in control. And here we go, sudden death. One final champion's going to be the decider here for Spart1e.
Indeed, he has himself a lightning gun for seemingly the first time. Oh, 1 damage. That's not what he wants to see. Oh, Spart1e very low. Still though, a couple of normal small health pickups, but Pikawa with that heavy armor. Things just got a lot scarier for Spart1e than they were before.
It's remarkable how quickly things can turn around, isn't it? And how, not even like 30 seconds ago, we saw Pikawa on the extreme back foot, but now, in just as much time, look at this turnaround.
Still though, rocket to rocket, all it takes is one more rocket than your opponent to do 100 extra. That would do a big deal in these 1v1s. Sudden death, this is a make or break round for Pikawa. It's important that he has control over Mega and Heavy, which he has been doing really well, but still.
But during this sudden death, you'll see these really small things, you know, right there where Spart1e deliberately did not collect, even though he could have, you know, maybe probably had the more rockets, the merrier, really. But collecting that rocket would have made a sound effect he doesn't want Pikawa to hit because he has to try and catch him off guard, catch him by surprise. Pikawa, though, he knows how much damage he's done. He's going to try and chase this one down. Can he finish the job?
There's that typical start. Pikawa went around the corner with a lightning gun in hand, thinking Spart1e was closer, but he was not. There we go, Berserk popped just to try and survive. Heavy armor is up. Mega health not going to be up for another 10 seconds. Pikawa has all the time in the world to get back into position to contest this Mega again. All that missed rocket was everything. That could be huge.
There's that Mega. Pikawa consistently staying ahead.
Still though, Spart1e doesn't quite have the same stack, but he can definitely fight. The big problem here, I think, is the lack of Berserk, because Pikawa has been holding on to it for a while because he just hasn't needed it yet.
I feel like Pikawa is going to use it when the time is right. I mean,
he's
of course.
He's going to look for that one magical opportunity to either finish a fight with it or escape if he desperately needs to. But Spart1e's been a little bit itchier with that Berserk trigger finger. Oh, he's waiting. He is the mousetrap. Oh! That was weird, actually. Yeah, he sort of sprung the trap, but he came around a little bit further away. I mean, Spart1e has been doing that a lot this entire series, is just waiting at setting that ambush around a corner. Sometimes he gets the damage, sometimes he doesn't, but the fact is, Pikawa has to constantly worry. You know, he has to check his corners, he has to make sure that Spart1e's not there waiting. Because if Spart1e loses a champion, big deal. You know, he has 2 rounds to work with. Pikawa, on the other hand, if he loses just 1 champion here now, that's it. Game over. There's that Berserk used for another time, but he's chasing it down with the LG. This is terrible for Spart1e. He's got almost no health. Yeah, but Pikawa isn't chasing him. Pikawa is not committed to these chases at all. I'm starting to think that maybe Pikawa should be chasing a couple of these a little bit more. There are certain situations where Spart1e is particularly weak, and it's still not being chased down by Pikawa. I understand that he needs to be unbelievably careful here because he is, in fact, match point down, and this is sudden death. You know, if one thing goes wrong, one fight goes skew-if, Pikawa will be out of this upper bracket, but... And again, Spart1e waiting again. That's the kind of damage he needs. A lot of stream damage on this LG. No. Ooh, super shotgun. Pikawa, solo 30 health! Wow! Pikawa, no, the suicide! But he got the frag first. He is still alive. He is still in this. Oh my word. Why is it Crooked Keep that we see all the suicides? I mean, I know, right? But I feel like right at the end, that was a really risky fight. You know, half a second later, we might have seen that go the other way, but a fantastic rocket, you know. He'll happily take that trade for the suicide if he gets the frag half a second before he dies himself. Now, what I want to know is, has Pikawa started rolling the ball that is a 3-round comeback? He's done 1 of them. He only has 2 left to go. Goes to the Dyro, but doesn't connect. Nice. But there's a beautiful mid-air on Spart1e, and Pikawa seizes that first frag. And even Spart1e can't hold back the props. Is this where the snowball starts to roll? That's what I wonder. A round that goes like that, you know, is it enough to... Oh! Wow. Just round the corner. Huge damage. Now super shotgun. A lot of damage coming through. Spart1e seeing again. Berserk popped. Trying to get to heavy armor. Now this is a beautiful turnaround if Spart1e can make it work. He does indeed. Ate a little bit of damage, but the important thing is Pikawa wasn't able to get them. And just like that, if Spart1e can take this frag now... I mean, we're going to be evened out. We're going to be in the same situation. Or do we see Doomslayer versus Doomslayer for another 4 minutes and go to overtime? Could do. Definitely could do. How this map's been going so far. You see the hesitance. Pikawa just doesn't want to commit to these. And even then, the only reason the fight happened last time was because Spart1e decided to stick to him and Pikawa got the best of the exchange. Oh, I think right now Spart1e's regretting not having access to a lightning gun. As right in that situation, that would have been a lot of guaranteed damage if he had one, but it wasn't meant to be. Pikawa's really looking to lay this pressure on, though. He's trying to cut off some of these entrances. You can see consistently every time Spart1e tries to go a certain way, Pikawa is just there, waiting. I actually like this. You know, if you're maintaining control over Mega and Heavy, and you're forcing the opponent to constantly try and run away from you, because the reality is you just have more stack than they do, then cut off their escape, you know, force them to only collect those health bubbles. Although this is looking like an exact mirror of what we just saw, this Doomslayer versus Doomslayer. Big direct hit, but Spart1e himself also looking quite low. Even after that 100 damage rocket. Because Pikawa has so much more stack because he's controlled both of these items. I don't even think he's that.
Spart1e's not quite sure where to go. Pikawa is just sending him away. He makes the commitment. He dives through the middle. Heavy armor going to be up soon, but still, there's no one health. He's around the corner. Pikawa, he's going to get this one. The lightning in hand. No, he misses completely, but he doubles back and gets that frag now. Pikawa, 1 champion away from tying things up. Yep, didn't take Telly. I think that was the read, right? Where Spart1e was expecting him to use the teleporter, and he didn't. He just came from the left-hand side. But caught him off guard. That is the strength of Ranger. You think he's going to zig and he zags. It is as simple as that. Having that die roll out means that you have to make a read. Where is he going to go? What does he do? Especially if there's a teleporter nearby, even harder. True, but he's playing as Doomslayer. He is Doomslayer. That's correct. Well, he has the heavy now, at least. Well, that makes it even more impressive though, right? Knowing that it was just so much more of a basic thing. But there we go. Pikawa looking very good here. 2-2 after being down 2-0 in swift fashion. I mean, you said he's have no choice but to make this 3-round comeback, but we've seen it time and time again, and we'll see it many more times, no doubt. This is a perfect start to the evening. Like, hands down, just a perfect start. European winners final action. Pikawa versus Spart1e. Map 3, final round. This is the best case scenario. But Pikawa, this is bad. Does he get away? Oh, he does. But Spart1e still chasing. Pikawa, a few pickups will help him. The Spart1e chase. He's still here. He's got the fists out. He's trying to swing. Swing. One more. Oh, look at how low they both are. Oh, he's got it. Not quite enough Spart1e. He didn't fire. Did he actually have any rockets left? I mean, I can only assume, like, surely he must have had at least one left. Do you reckon he was just wait? Do you reckon he was just like waiting? Like, because he straight up didn't shoot back. Do you think he just brain fired? I mean, who knows? It's kind of hard to say, really. Oh, that would have been beautiful. Telefrag. Loads of damage coming through the nails. Still though, Pikawa. Oh, he just peaks a little bit too early, and a nail meets him immediately. And now we're tied up again. This is so hard to call. It's like the definition of back and forth. Yeah, it's because they're consistently just trading these frags over and over. Although Spart1e decided to start with Doomslayer this time, so now it's going to be Anarchy versus Doomslayer on the side of Pikawa. Unfortunately, though, you really can't take your eyes off that difference in stack. Yes, indeed. I mean, even if he puts himself up to full, and even if he gets 2 more armor, it's still not going to even hold a candle to the stack that Doomslayer can bring to the table here. Ambush, minimal damage, to be honest, minimal damage from that. Yeah, same thing on the side of Pikawa. Spart1e was able to get some of that stack down, but still has plenty of health to go with. That's a nice hit. Oh, another one too. Pikawa now, no armor left to go. The LG, if he needs to finish off a little bit of health. Unfortunately, yeah, you can see that's exactly why Spart1e can't overextend. He can't push too heavily. That's bad for Pikawa. He's looking for those rockets, and he will get one of them. Just like that, Pikawa looking like he was knocking on death's door, but once again decides not to, as he is one champion away. But again, low, and there we go, another hit. Exchanging frag for frag, and in perfect fashion, we are Nyx versus Nyx. Spart1e versus Pikawa. Let's go. Now, this has been a pretty crazy turnaround. I think it actually has gone to show just how risky chasing down a frag can be. No matter how much of an advantageous situation you think that you have, one well-placed rocket will just delete you and take you out of the fight. It's exactly what happened to Spart1e with the Anarchy just now. 70 damage, though. That's huge. Pikawa doesn't have Ghost Walk. One more. He's chasing him. This could be it. Super shotgun in hand. But if he chases too hard and he walks into another direct, he will die in the exact same fashion. He's definitely not going to get burned twice. You know, he's learned his lesson from when he was Anarchy just now. He cannot overchase. One bad rocket will take him out of this tournament, at least in the winner's bracket. I mean, this is where your decision-making has to become really, you know, you've got to question it now, because you've both got one champion. One mistake is going to send you out of the winner's bracket. It's a lot to take in here. Oh, hang on a minute. There we go. Pikawa is going to be able to make the full 3-round comeback after all that, and is going to be qualifying for DreamHack Winter, representing Europe, joining that list of top-tier names. Well deserved, you know. I mean, that was back and forth. The first map, he was looking strong at the start, and then it slipped through his fingers quite substantially. Second map, a bit more, I suppose, evened out. And then, I mean, what is there to say about the third map, Corrupted Keep, that we haven't already said? Just a full 3-round comeback from a 2-0 deficit. Really well played. It's been a good day for Pikawa, absolutely. And I think it's a great sort of message to send going into DreamHack Winter, knowing that you've taken out some real top-tier competition. Obviously, yourself being top-tier competition anyway. But I mean, you know, sort of Garpy to get into this match, and then Spart1e in such a close fashion. But just being able to clutch it out, you know, he made some really impressive plays there. Some really crazy comebacks were made, and we've seen them time and time again with people like Nyx in general. But I think Pikawa can be happy with his result. And I think, you know, he's definitely going to be going into DreamHack Winter as being one of those players to watch, 100%. Yes, indeed. But as always, we're going to go into our next match as soon as possible. But while we get that underway, we're going to go to a quick break. So don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes, we're going to be right back.